Hey everybody. Today I think I'm going to start a little series on rediscovering all the things I've bought from eBay or some of my three-wheeler friends, and they ship them to me, and I have a bad habit of just leaving them in the box and not getting them out and putting them on the machines that I bought them for. So me and my helper are gonna dig through my shelves and open some of those boxes and try to remember what they were for, those parts, and put them on. I think it's gonna be good. This will give us a couple hours worth of footage here. So come along for the ride and enjoy yourself. Last time we were in the shop, I think we were doing some comparisons. This is as far as my 250R teardown project has gone. I've gotten the frame powder coated and haven't taken the motor apart yet to figure out what size piston needs to go in it. I've ordered some blue US 90 fenders from Mike Palmgren to go on a 1970 US 90. But this is my little nook of goodies, parts. You'll see various things in here. This is some overflow here. That's a grab bar for my 250R, a couple sets of 250R fenders I'm sanding. But in here there is a bunch of goodies. Fenders, skid plates, forks, powder coated swing arms, 250R stuff, headlight guards, bezels, seats, more headlight guards, triples, spare tanks. Not looking to sell anything, in case you were wondering. But what I am going to do is, I know I bought a lot of this stuff or acquired a lot of this stuff with intentions of putting it on something. So we're going to figure out where those need to go. Here we go. So I just consulted with my my lead mechanic here, president of my maintenance department. We're going to take those tires that are right next to her leg there and put those on the rear of the TPC, and maybe even put a new front tire and rim on the front. I'm not a big fan of black rims, so we're going to have all aluminum rims on the TPC and get these studded tires off it. So I bought this front tire and front rim for my TPC, and I know rotation on my rim would be like that, so I do believe this tire is directional. There's our direction right there. So this needs to go in just like that. So I'm going to get that mounted and put some air in it, and then we'll be one step closer. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take my 86 350X. We're gonna take that front tire and wheel off and put a brand new one on. So that will be nice. And while we've got that off, I think I'm gonna put a speedometer assembly on that I have, since we'll be doing surgery. And then on my 85, I've got a headlight guard to go on that, and I got one of those brake lines, one of the reproductions that look like factory, from Mike Palmgren, Vintage Motorsports. So that's going to look amazing on this machine, so I'm going to put those on and we'll keep you updated. Okay, we are doing great so far. Got the brake line connected here. It was very convenient that this machine had no brake fluid in the front reservoir since it was restored, so that was not much work at all. And the headlight guard went on pretty smoothly. I was even able to use official Honda hardware, so it was correct. And now we brought a jack over. We've got this, what I'm assuming is a takeoff front wheel and tire, and a speedometer that I got from my friend Tommy Schuyler. We're gonna put it on this lovely 86 350X. Stay tuned. I just needed to take a status update. I took that fork tube out to allow me to remove the tire, and I'm about to do that. But the fork, which is sitting right over here, came out so nice. It's just such a wonderful thing. It slid right out like butter, and I know it's not normally like that, so I just wanted to take a second to acknowledge that. But I might have a helper here that wants to remove that tire. Oh, and he is. He's willing. Look at this. All right, the muscle is amazing. So this tread, here, let's show him the tread. This tread isn't bad. Better than most. But this tread is just super duper nice. Hardly used. So out with the old, in with the newer. Don't scratch the rim. We've gone this far. We want a nice execution. You want to thread a couple lug nuts on? So this is my son, my youngest son, but he's my middle child. Very handy, very mechanically inclined, so I think we've got a lot of future hours to spend in here. This right here is the speedometer kit that we're going to be putting on. $2,400 miles. There's all the components and brackets, and we'll be going through that in a second. But the part that makes the assembly work is the drive gear. And if you've never seen a speedometer up close, you've probably noticed on your hubs, as soon as we get that lug nut tightened up, just snug there. Perfect, thank you. A lot of your hubs, well, pretty much all your hubs have that little notch in it. Whether or not you've noticed or realized what they're for, but that is what drives the gear that spins around. So as your tire rotates, it's driving the speedometer. This spacer goes away, so we're going to be actually pulling the axle. I didn't even think about that, but we got to pull the axle and slide the drive gear on. So we'll get that in place and we'll come back. Okay, we've pulled the axle. This is that spacer that holds your hub centered on the axle. So that's in place right there. Here's the drive tooth. That's a seal. This is the drive gear. This is a new seal that my friend put on. So I believe I've got to pull this seal out. Spacer goes away. This slides in over the drive gear. And I've never done this before, so I'm just gonna figure it out as I go. Okay, so we have pulled that seal out. There it is. Low hours, I'm not concerned with putting more grease back in. This will take its place. Then we'll slide the axle back in and thread that on. I don't know the exact orientation that this needs to be, but again, we'll figure that out as we go. Okay, so we've got that on and axle is in. Next thing I've got to do is back that screw out, slide this down over the little flat blade that's in there that turns as the axle turns. This semicircular groove there will be this screw. Once we thread it in, we'll hold that in, and then we'll probably slide our fork back in and get everything positioned. But once I tighten the axle, it'll lock this in to wherever I put it. So I kind of want to get things aligned before I go too much further. Okay, it's been a week since I've been out here playing with my 350X, and what I've discovered is I have the wrong mounting bracket for this application. This bend here should go down. So this is actually a left-hand mount for a 350X. I guess if you had a speedometer, tachometer setup, this is what you would use on that side. Or, more likely, this is a speedometer for a second gen 200X, which would have a brake caliper and rotor on this side. So this would be a left-hand mount where this would hold the speedometer on the opposite side of the triple tree. So I'm at a bit of an impasse. Kind of a bummer that I'm kind of this much invested work-wise into this, which I guess isn't a lot of work. It's not a big deal, but you know, I could put this on maybe that nice 86 over there, or maybe that 87. But I got a decision to make when it comes to this, so that's where I'm at. I just want to update that because I'm not probably going to finish this today, at least. Let's go back here to the other room, doing a fender swap on this 85. Pretty nice machine. My SXs. We'll do an SX comparison video here coming up. Got the Trilogy 87, 86. 85 right there. A little freak out with my camera there, but I'll do a SX video a different day, show you those. Got to do a 90 video at some point, show you what I think I know about US 90s and ask some questions that maybe you guys can answer for me. Here we are in the shop. Let me pull out some goodies that maybe we can work on. Okay, I think I've just had an idea. I have up here on my headlight guard shelf 250 SX headlight guard. I don't have one on my 85. So we'll put that there. I believe I have a front rack kicking around. Where did I put that? Oh, nope, that's not it. That's a 200M front rack. There's some headlight guards, but that's not it. Might have to check another spot. Okay, so I pulled out the headlight guard and the front rack that I had powder coated with the clamps for this 85 SX. And I was eyeballing the front end to see what I need to do. But what I need to do is, I was looking at that lower triple, and that's gonna need to be painted. I mean, it doesn't do anything for me to put a nice freshly coated headlight guard and rack on the front when that triple looks like it does. So I'm going to table this project until my jack or my lift over there is not being used anymore. And this is going to involve taking the forks all the way out, headlight off obviously, and for time's sake I will probably mask off what I need to remove the front fender and paint the triple in place. I'll sand it and prep it, and I just don't want to pull that whole steering stem, because on these 85s the bearings are all free and it is hard to remove that triple without those bearings going everywhere, and I don't want to do that. So I know that's cutting a corner. I'm okay with that, and I will show you that process when I get there, but that will not be today. But what I did pull out that I need to share with you is this aftermarket CDI from Mike's ATV Fix Performance. So these are done by a Facebook buddy of mine named Oscar Meyer, which is not his real name, but that's what he goes by on Facebook. These are available through him, or also powersportssurplusllc.com. My buddy Vinny sells these. I'm going to put this on my 84 200ES and see how it goes. I've been sitting on this for a while and I've needed to do that, and now is the perfect day for that. So let's take a look at that and get that done. So here's my 84 200ES. I had a second one of these over the winter, and it had a bum CDI and it was not running when I got it. They had replaced the original CDI with an aftermarket one, and I don't even think the CDI was the issue at all. They had they have a switch or relay in the back and on the other side of the seat down there that it prevents you from going into reverse. How's it work? I forget. It prevents you from going into reverse when you're not in neutral, first gear. Anyway, it's a safety switch. You don't necessarily need it, but I think in chasing out the issue they were having, they swapped out the CDI, and that wasn't the issue. But when I got it, I figured out the switch. I bypassed it, and I had to ultimately steal the CDI off this one to get that one running, and I no longer own that machine. So this machine needs a CDI. I'm going to put this one from Mike's Fix on it. Even though I'd like it to be all OEM, I don't have a backup at the minute. I will eventually remedy that situation, but right now this is what we're going to do. So let me get it pulled out. So these 84 Big Reds, they're not the most desirable machine. I mentioned in a previous video that these were actually the most mass-produced machines that Honda made. And they're tried and true. This is what I grew up on. If you watched my video on the Big Red comparisons, you would have seen that this machine was out on my front lawn, but unfortunately it was not running at the time. This has a different fuel line put in, so it's got a little bit of length on it. So I think I'm going to be able to remove it. Set it right there. There is a bunch of gas in that tank. Here in New York, we have a line of gas stations that sells ethanol-free gas. So I put that in my machines, and I usually leave the tanks full. I'm trying to get better at shutting off the petcocks when I'm not using them. So these are located up under the tank, on the 84s, and actually this clip, I gotta get an adapter. This came with an adapter. This will not plug directly into this. This is a 6-pin connector, and this is a 2+4 setup. So let me go get that adapter. So this adapter is going to take this from the 2+4 arrangement to a round 6-plug arrangement. Okay, I was just getting a call from my daughter. I've muted my phone so there won't be any more interruptions. I don't want to do a test right now. Gas is on. Let's see if she fires. I'm going to give the gas a little time to fill the bowl. I'm going to test for spark. Instead of pulling this plug, I'm just going to pop in a spare plug and see if I've got spark. Bright white spark. So I'm guessing that it just needed to let that fuel work its way down into the bowl. Times like this that I like to use a little bit of persuasion. Okay, so now that I've heard that, that's what I wanted to hear. I'm going to push this tank back here. I'm going to go get some zip ties because unfortunately this aftermarket CDI does not fit into the rubber strap that it normally would if it was OEM. So I'm going to zip tie it in a place up under the tank and get everything put back together. Okay, just real quick, I'll show you what I've done. I haven't clipped my zip ties yet, but I wanted to leave them long so you could kind of see what's new. So this is a little bit bigger than stock, and there's a little tab that sticks out of the frame from this way that would normally receive a rubber strap that goes around that CDI and holds it up out of the way. So I've gone around it upwards and sideways to hold that CDI to it. On the other side, I had to double up the adapter and the connection point, and I've zip tied that up and around. If I had it to do over again, and maybe I'll do this before I put this all away, I wouldn't have gone around the throttle cable, because if I do ever need to pull the carb to clean it up or do whatever, I've now created a situation where I got to clip zip ties. So May or may not leave that, but I will clip these and put the tank back on and consider this good enough for the time being, and I will let you know how it all goes. This tank design is similar to pretty much every other Honda gas tank, where there's two nubs on the frame and two slots welded to the tank that slide over those nubs and lock this into position. I've seen for scale posts where people have their tank installed and they've gone on top of those nubs and the tank sits really high, and it's just a easy mistake to make if you don't know what you're doing. I'm not saying I know what I'm doing. Probably don't. So, moment of truth, let's see if she'll start right up for us. Oh, come on. Well, there you have it. We've taken a little test drive. She seems to be performing nicely. Idles a little bit faster than I'd like. So I don't know if my air mixture screw is slightly out of adjustment, but I can take a look at the factory settings when I get back to the shop. But all in all, I'm happy. This was a non-runner the other day, and I hadn't looked too hard to try to find a OEM CDI for it, but it just occurred to me that I had this aftermarket one in my stash, so I'm glad I could use parts already on hand to make a non-running machine a running machine. So I'll count that a victory, and let's get her put back. Okay, so there you have it. We went through the parts bin, the parts nook, to try to find something that we bought that we never put on, and we found it after a couple false starts, and well, we've turned a non-running machine into a running machine, and that's a victory today at this old trike. And my phone takes on a mind of its own. But if you like this, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'll post more nonsense like this as I get time, and for sure give the video a like, and we would appreciate that. So have a great day, everybody. Chime in again, look for new content about weekly, and I'll do my best to get it up there. So have a great day. Thank you.